Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about the fact that apparently Passion of the Christ 2 is getting some traction, and it's looking like, well, it's already been in pre-production for a little while, but the thing is it's kind of been drifting around in development hell because Mel Gibson's had a very busy schedule as of late. He's due to direct a version of The Wild Bunch, and he's also getting back into acting in movies. He's in a few projects right now that are set to wrap very soon or have just wrapped. So it's really more of a waiting game for that, but I think it's kind of an interesting story just because this has been like a joke and a meme since like the early to just probably the mid to late 2000s of doing a sequel to it, because The Passion of the Christ was, until Deadpool came out, the highest R-rated film ever released. It grossed about $620 million at the global box office. But like I said, this thing's kind of been a bit of a joke ever since it was suggested. And the thing is, I think that the reason why The Passion of the Christ made so much money back when it was released in 2004 is because there was a bit of a nuance to it. In addition to the fact that the thing was that movie was advertised very heavily in the Christian community. A lot of people in the Christian community stated that you had to see it and stuff like that. There was a whole thing going around where, oh, if you're a good Christian, you have to go see the Passion of the Christ, understand the suffering and stuff like that. And I guess it's maybe just a visual interpretation of things we all know that were written, that are written in the Bible, the stuff like that for people that know Christian dogma. It's all described in gratuitous detail in that book, but the point is that now you're seeing it on screen, so it feels more realistic to the audience. So I get that kind of a draw to it. But I feel like the graphic violence was the main draw to that film in terms of uh, why people thought it was needed to go watch it. And at the time as well, Mel Gibson had a bit of a better reputation in Hollywood. I believe this was before all of his incidents where the whole anti-Semitism thing, the whole thing with leaving weird phone calls on, Mel Gibson leaving weird phone calls on his girlfriend's phone, and then that becoming public knowledge, and a bunch of other stuff involving him that kind of put his career into a tailspin until very recently. So I think maybe because, to be honest, that's probably the only reason why this movie hasn't already been made, is because Mel Gibson kind of fell off the deep end for a while. But I just think that if you're doing this, because they've already stated, because at the end of the first film, the whole cliffhanger is that, oh, he gets resurrected and he walks out of the tomb. That's the whole idea. And then the second film is going to be about the resurrection. Now, here's the thing that is kind of I think is not going to work as well for them. And it is Mel Gibson directing, so I'll give him credit for that because I think he is a capable and good director. It's just whether or not you can kind of capture that same audience you had with that original film. Because the other thing is that this film will be coming out, at the earliest, I would say, it's listed on IMDb as 2021, but I don't expect this film to be out before 2022. So you're looking at about an 18-year gap, assuming that it's released in that year. So that's a long time in between films. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to fail because, again, the Bible's been around for 2,000 plus whatever years, and uh, people are still reading it. So I would assume that there's still going to be some kind of an audience that is going to go and see this movie, especially in very heavily Christian-leaning countries. But I don't think you're going to see the same success that you got with the first one. And the other thing is that it's going to depend on how good the box office is going to bounce back in the coming years, if they're going to be able to get films, the people into theaters to watch these movies in large enough numbers to show, that they can still make films to the degree and the expense that they did before. Now, Passion of the Christ 2, I would imagine, would not cost all that much money. The first one only cost about $30 million. So it wouldn't be that hard to allocate funds to it. Now, also apparently Jim Caviezel has confirmed that he is going to be coming back and playing Jesus Christ again, which might also be an interesting thing because, again, it's been 18 years since he was doing that too, and this is supposed to technically take place, the day after, I would assume, or just a basic continuation on from that last scene in Passion of the Christ. So I would assume that it's something like that. But I think that, like I said before, I think that the main draw was kind of the spectacle of that first film. The idea that, you got to see all the brutality of the crucifixion. So with this one, you don't have that option because you've already gone through that whole story arc. You can't just have him walk out of the tomb and get beaten and crucified again. That would just be weird. But the point is that you're losing that hook that first film had, and like I said, I think that's a good portion of why that film made as much money as it did. In addition to the fact that film made the rounds on every major news station when it came out, and it's religion. It's a hot button topic. It still is kind of a hot button topic. It was a hot button topic back then as well. Um, so a lot of it was also sensationalization. So I don't know if you're going to be able to get as much of a sensationalization out of that. Maybe you can tap into some kind of uh, pseudo Christian surge, maybe after the coronavirus thing, because a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to be thanking their various deities and going to church and stuff like that. So maybe they can capitalize on that a little bit. I can see that working out, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get the same totals that they got with the previous film. Now, the previous film, the U.S. box office total was far greater than the foreign total, which was good for that movie because you want domestic over foreign because you have to spend more money when you import films overseas because of various distribution rights. So that's a whole different tomato. But the point is that film, when it came out in the United States, made $370 million. I don't know if you release another film in 2022, if you're going to see that same output from the American public as much as you did at that point in time when the first film came out. So you have that as kind of a drawback, but even if, and the thing is, I don't doubt that these guys are going to try and make the best quality film that they can make. Again, I've said that Mel Gibson is a relatively good director. He's directed some good movies. Jim Caviezel is a good actor, and he's also reprising the same role. Most of the people on the film, know the religious dogma and stuff like that kind of surrounds the story and all that stuff. So they're probably going to be as faithful to the Bible as they can, I would assume. I know that I shouldn't say I know, but I'm assuming there were some creative liberties taken with the first film in terms of some of the visuals and the representation and stuff. But the other thing is the original Passion of the Christ reminds me a little bit of Lincoln, the Daniel Day-Lewis film, and the reason why is because the movie Lincoln basically just deals with Abraham Lincoln's final months as president in the waning days of the Civil War, and it really just focuses on him in that specific window of time. Now, the Passion of the Christ did the exact same thing, where it's basically focusing on Jesus' final days of life before he is crucified and then eventually resurrected. So I don't. The same idea kind of applies there. Is can you make a sequel to Lincoln? No. Although to be fair, Lincoln doesn't, get up and get out of the coffin afterwards, after he got shot in the head. But you're not really going to make a sequel to Lincoln. At the same time, I don't necessarily think you need a sequel to the movie that you did. It's going to feel like a cash grab. I feel like it's even if it's not, which I don't necessarily think it's warranted to it in terms of it's not consigned to that as a cash grab, but it's going to feel like that because that's been the joke for so long. Like I said, there was and I'm probably going to use the thumbnail for the visual on this just because I find it amusing. But they did a joke in Family Guy with that, where Jim Caviezel plays Jesus Christ in Passion of the Christ 2: Crucify This, which is a buddy cop film with Chris Tucker that Peter and Lois happen to find in Mel Gibson's hotel room, and they decide that they can't let it be released to the world, so it's kind of the plot MacGuffin for the whole episode. But it was a joke then. It feels like it's kind of a joke now, and I feel like the internet is going to have more of a field day with this than it would have way back when it came out. So there was like I said, there was kind of a perfect storm of things that happened around that first film that it kind of caught the public eye at an interesting point. So I can't really say yes or no if the film itself is going to be good. But I can say that I don't think that public perception of it is going to necessarily be the same as the first film. So it's going to run into a few roadblocks with that, in addition to trying to juggle it out, like I said, with Mel Gibson's schedule, since he is getting busier and busier these days. But I want to know what you think. Did you like the original Passion of the Christ? Do you want to see a sequel? Do you think that this is good for Christianity as a whole, like from a religious standpoint, to have another one of these films, or do you not care? Are you not religious? Did the first one not really do anything for you? Again, put your thoughts in the comments below. I'd like to know what you're thinking. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?